Greetings, this is Dr. Robert Henry Schwenk, aka Dr. Bob for You, coming to you from Studio for You in the suburbs of beautiful Norwalk, Ohio. The title of today's blog post is The Meaning of Life to Be Happy and Replacing Bad Habits with Good Habits. Are you one of the millions of folks who wishes to have different habits? It is far easier to trade new good habits for the bad than to try to destroy the bad habits. The sign on my door said, "The meaning of life to be happy." That sign had invited so many people and challenges through that door over the years. Jerry was no exception. Now, Jerry, of course, is not his real name. I never use real names. "I just traumatized my kids for the umpteenth time." He blurted that out as he came through the door with the sign on it. He threw himself into the interview chair. He was 42 with a balding spot and black hair and gray eyes. He was a little overweight, but then again, who of us is not? His face was red from his explanation or some other exertion. "I do it to my kids, our pets, my wife. I've got to stop. I blow up all out of proportion to what is happening in the moment. I've got to stop." A clue came immediately to my mind. He said he blew up way out of proportion to what was happening in the moment. I asked him, "Well, now, how did your mother or father deal with things when you were young?" He said, "Well, they acted just the way I do." He was much closer to a solution than he knew. He said, "How did you know they did that kind of thing?" "My mother blew up about once a week," he said. "We kids learned to see the signs of the coming eruption and tried to stay out of her way, but no matter what we did, one of us eventually got a screaming at." So you have now this long-standing habit of doing the same. That habit has at least two parts. First part, the gathering together of these little things that irritate you, and you keep gathered together in a place within you. And number two, when the pressure becomes too great from all these gathered little things, you erupt as if you were an exploding volcano. "Yeah, well, you nailed it, Doc, but what do I do? I've tried to blast this bad habit. That doesn't work. It's so hard to change. You know that. What do I do?" "Don't do anything with the bad habit," I said. That brought a surprised look to Jerry's face. It's far easier to replace a bad habit with a good one. Then eventually the bad habit just dies away of its own misused or disused weight. The look on Jerry's face eased. Now let me give you an aside here, a parenthetical paragraph. Unless you are in the throes of true addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, the rest of what you have is a series of bad habits. If you are addicted to alcohol, drugs, gambling, I respectfully suggest to you that you find a 12-step program like AA as soon as possible. End of parentheses. "Jerry, first," I said, "you've got to develop the new good habit of confronting the issues that irritate you right now. In the calmest tones you can manage, you've got to say what's on your mind right then. Believe me, your family and pets will be glad you did let them know right then, because then there will be no need for the big blow-up. Simply replace your old bad habit with this new good habit. Then your habit of blowing up out of proportion to what is going on right then will go away of its own." "Can't be that simple, Doc. It's got to be more. There's got to be more to it," he said. "Think about it for a moment, right now. Run it through your mind and see how you feel." He said he did that, and then he said, "Okay, Dr. Bob, I'll give it a real good try." And then I tried to imitate Yoda and said, "There is no try. There is only do or not do." Jerry laughed as he went out through my office door with a sign that said, "The meaning of life to be happy." I don't know to this day if he laughed at my poor Yoda imitation or the idea or what. And Jerry and I happened to run into each other about 2 months later in the supermarket, both shopping for some groceries, and he volunteered immediately, saying that he no longer blew up. It was much happier in his home, he said. In your quest for the meaning of life, which I believe is to be happy, replace your bad habits with good habits, and the old bad habits will die of their own misused weight. This is Dr. Bob saying you can find all contact information at the end of this video or on the blog itself. In the meantime, may you and all sentient beings know happiness and the root of happiness.